inside our Los Angeles studios. I'm Malika Andrews along with Stephen A. Smith and Jalen Rose. So I just want to take a look at this play right here because Draymond was ejected from this first half. Excessive and unnecessary, Stephen A. That's what defines a flagrant 2. What do you think?
I think that's an utterly ridiculous decision by the officiating crew. I mean, what are you doing? Looking for Cottonelle tissue commercials or endorsements or something? This is utterly ridiculous here. I mean, it's a damn shame that this happened. You want to give him a tech? Fine. He clearly tried to hold the person up, okay? You're making a defensive play. It happens. To have the guy ejected and to compromise the potential outcome and to leave us in a position where we're talking about this ejection as opposed to talking about two high-end competitors going after it. I think this tarnishes the level of competition that was out there today. There's no excuse for this decision as far as I'm concerned. It was just utterly egregious.
The refs are supposed to be looking for reasons to keep him in the game.
Yes.
When he was about to hit the ground, Draymond grabbed him to try to soften the blow from him hitting the ground. So as an official, when you see that, and by the way, they hate when I say this, they officiate the situation. They pay attention to who's fouling who. They officiate scoring situation. It's their job to pay attention to that. Lastly, it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
You can't be throwing Draymond Green, the elite defender of the Golden State Warriors, to give them a chance defensively up front out of a game one and basically putting Memphis in pole position to take this game.
I totally agree. It was a wrong call, but I will say I don't like seeing Draymond Green depart from the game like that. It's nothing to celebrate or to egg anybody on. The Golden State Warriors are deficient without Draymond Green. He's one of the elite defensive players in the game of basketball. So the odds were stacked against them to some degree, especially when Ja Morant opened the game, hitting his first 2 3-pointers, which is a plus. But now you're deficient on the defensive end of the floor. Good luck to Golden State. It's a horrible decision. Horrible.
But the Golden State Warriors might as well be the 31st team in the NBA. They're going to come out blazing in this quarter. Memphis has to be ready for that run.
Well, and it seemed like Steve Javie, from what he was saying, it wasn't the call for the jersey. It was the contact with the face. It still seemed absolutely ridiculous. But did you see the way that Ja Morant ended that half?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a momentum play for these Memphis Grizzlies. Take a look. If you did not see it, Ja Morant with authority to the hoop. We have more coming up after this.
He ain't worried about it.
What's the most intriguing aspect of the Grizzlies-Warriors series?
Believe it or not, for me, it's Ja Morant against the Golden State Warriors, whether that be Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, or Jordan Poole. Here's the thing. I know Desmond Bane can shoot the lights out. I know what Dylan Brooks brings to the table. We know how spectacular Ja Morant is, averaging 26, 6, and 6 against the Warriors this season in 3 of the 4 games that he's played against them. But he shot 3 of 16 from three-point range against them. He shot 4 of 20 from three-point range against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round. So three-point shooting hasn't been a strength. Last time I checked, it's a strength of the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to be raining threes. And so even though Ja can get to the hole at will, Ja can average about 26 to 30 against anybody, he's absolutely spectacular because of the shot-making ability of Golden State combined with the free-throw-making ability of the Golden State Warriors. I know what Dylan Brooks and Bane are going to give you from a perimeter perspective. What is Ja going to give you in that regard? That may very well determine this series.
A contrast the styles, actually the best of both worlds. You have Ja Morant, who led the NBA in points in the paint, and you have Steph Curry, who's the greatest shooter that we've ever seen, and he has unlimited range. So can the Memphis Grizzlies continue to defend at a high level? I agree with Stephen A. Bane and Brooks defensively against the Splash Brothers in Poole. But on the other side, they're also now going to have to defend the Memphis Grizzlies, something they didn't have to do against the Denver Nuggets on this level. And so it's going to be great to see if Memphis, with their toughness and their ability to cause turnovers and get offensive rebounds, can impose their will against the Warriors, because those are the Golden State Warriors' weaknesses. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, and Michael Wilbon, we heard T. Morant, Ja's father, say that he played like trash in that first round, and Ja seemed to take that as a challenge. What are you most looking forward to in this series?
Well, the challenge for me, Malika, is to figure out or observe how much Memphis has learned. What did they learn from that first round series? They're still a young team. They're a neophyte playoff team, particularly, in relationship to the Golden State Warriors. So, look, there's no falling behind by 15 and 18 and 23 points and coming back to win games. There's no trailing by 10 going into the fourth quarter. This is not Minnesota. This is the Golden State Warriors. What have you learned? What can you apply? I mean, speaking to Stephen A's point specifically with Ja, I mean, even the great players, there's a learning curve. So, okay, so maybe there wasn't for Magic Johnson and maybe there wasn't for Tim Duncan. For everybody else in history, maybe there wasn't for Bill Russell. For everybody else, there's learning. And so what will the Memphis Grizzlies have learned for between or in that series with Minnesota and now going into this series against the Warriors?
And listen, we understand that the Memphis Grizzlies are for real. We respect the hell out of the job that they've done this year. We understand that. But I'm going to challenge Mike Wilbon and Jalen Rose on this point. And I know they're agreeing with me because they've gotten wise beyond their years, Malika, because they understand when they disagree with me, it hasn't worked out for them very well this season. But in the end, let's be very, very clear. 3 outnumbers 2 last time I checked. So when we talk about Draymond, going against Jokic is a different animal. You got to worry about him offensively. Not so much as Steven Adams or Jaren Jackson Jr. Not to say that they can't hurt Lee, but the bottom line is it's a little bit different. And so what my point is, this is a perimeter team against a perimeter team when it comes down to that. Who's going to be able to stop the others from hitting threes? And more importantly, who's going to score more 2s than 3s? I'm betting on the Warriors. I'm betting on the Warriors. That is the smoke that I'm bringing to the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant told us to stay on this side. I'm staying on this side.
Two Michigan State Spartans. It's going to be interesting to see if Jaren Jackson Jr. and Draymond Green can actually both stay out of foul trouble. And they're going to need Jackson to stay in the game regardless of what happens with Adams. But also, Stephen A., Brandon Clark has been a revelation.
Yeah.
Not only scoring the ball, finishing, grabbing offensive rebounds, and bringing toughness. So this is going to be a rugged series.
He led that comeback in a lot of ways in that game 6.
I like him.
I mean, he is a tough. Jay mentioned it. We have 2 really exciting game 1s on our air. We have the Grizzlies and we have the Warriors, and then obviously we have the Celtics and the Bucks. So starting with you, Stephen A., if you're looking at all of these series, is there an aspect you are most excited about?
No, please, ain't no aspect. It's the game. It's the series. It's Steph Curry versus Ja Morant. It's the Golden State Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Here's the bottom line. We've got a Memphis Grizzlies squad that was the 2nd best team in basketball this season. And what do? They're a young team. They can hit perimeter shots. They're incredibly athletic. They're entertaining as hell. They show up in the open court. They defend and all of this other stuff. They're exceptionally well coached. And what do they say? Do they rest on their laurels? Do they just let their game speak for itself? No. They talk a lot of smack. They sat up there and said, we want all the smoke. We coming up the chimney. Well, guess who's at the top of the chimney? It's the Golden State Warriors. Guess who knows something about smoke? It's the Golden State Warriors. 3-time NBA champions in Draymond, Clay, and Steph. And now they got Jordan Poole in the mix as well. Memphis wanted to smoke. They're about to get it. And all of us should just get our popcorn ready because I'm loving the notion of this series. This is the series that I've been waiting for. Obviously, Phoenix and Golden State, hopefully. But this is the series that most of us have been waiting for.
Well, Jalen, Ja Morant said that he knows that he's going to need to step it up if they want to extend this series and possibly even get a win against Golden State. What are you looking at?
The Memphis Grizzlies, Stephen A., they ready for this. So much so, they've been getting ready all season because they're hosting today because they had a better record than those Warriors. And the thing I appreciate is going to be a contrast of styles. It's these Splash Brothers and Jordan Poole in their unlimited range versus Ja Morant, who led the league in points in the paint. Desmond Bane, the toughness defensively and his shot-making and three-point ability, and also Dylan Brooks. Those defenders on the perimeter versus the offensive firepower of the Golden State Warriors, that's going to be dynamic to watch. But the elephant in the room is going to be on the interior. Can Draymond Green not only continue to play defense the way he did in the previous series, against Jaren Jackson, who needs to stay in the game and actually be a more productive player? Those are the 2 guys I'm watching on the interior. I agree with Stephen A. Going to be a fantastic series.
Well, and Jaren Jackson seemed to figure it out a little bit in that Game 6. Wilbon, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
There's a world of difference between beating the Minnesota Timberwolves and beating the Golden State Warriors. A world of difference. And I want to see if the Memphis Grizzlies learned enough in the first round. Did they learn enough? They had some knucklehead moments, too. Minnesota wasn't the only team that had that. But that's natural for a neophyte team in the playoffs like this. Have they learned enough to be able to extend and even beat Golden State? We'll see. And the other thing for me, the Boston Celtics defense, they shut down Kevin Durant. Can that defense do the same thing to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Defense travels. Defense wins ultimately. Let's see if Giannis can solve them in a way that KD could not in the previous series.
That'll do it for